Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Nothing to Prove podcast, Words of Wisdom segment for this week in video format. Now, if you are unfamiliar with either the Nothing to Prove podcast or our Words of Wisdom segment, just to give you a little bit of a breakdown, we do the Nothing to Prove podcast each and every single week. We have a brand new episode that comes out every Monday. It's free of charge, and it is there to help you. It is there to help you improve your life. It is there to help give you a positive start to your week on that Monday. And I know Mondays can be a struggle for a lot of people. So we try to give out a positive, uplifting message to you guys free of charge every single Monday to get started off on the right foot. And one of the segments that we have on the show is our Words of Wisdom segment. We usually do it towards the end of the show. And it's usually something I find or something that comes to mind that I really think you guys should really spend some extra time thinking about, not only when you hear it, but carry it out through the rest of the week, the rest of the month, the rest of your life for that matter, because it can make it that much better. So this past week on episode number 96, we kind of ran out of some time and went a little bit long in some of our other segments. And I wanted to make sure I was able to deliver this message to you guys. So I left it up to the listener to decide if we wait till next week's episode to cover it, or if we release it in this video format. And this seemed to be what everyone wanted to hear. And who am I to not give what you guys, the listener and the viewer, want? So here we go. This is the Words of Wisdom segment for this week. And again, I wanted to do this because I'm telling you, you guys can get a lot from this because I know that I did. Now, I found this actually out and about as I was kind of surfing through, the interwebs last week. I'm sorry, and it wasn't sourced, so I don't know where it came from. I don't know who to give credit to, but that's very important. I always try to give credit where credit is due. I'm no genius. I don't think of everything that I spit out, but I do think of most of it. So if you don't see my name attached to it, usually I'll let you know exactly who it came from, who said it. So in this case, I don't know who said it, so I can't give credit, but I'll tell you right now up front, this was not directly from me. But the Words of Wisdom segment for this week is 7 things to stop worrying about right now. And this is deep, this is heavy, and some of these things, we want to kind of push off, and we just constantly worry about, small things, stupid things, insignificant things, some things that we think are a bigger deal than they actually are. And we want to get out of that mindset. We want to stop worrying about those things that are preventing us from progressing. So here we go. Number one, other people's expectations of you. It is your life. It's not anyone else's. You got to wake up every day. You got to breathe that oxygen into your lungs. You got to carry out your actions. You have to interact with those other people that are involved in your life, not anybody else. So don't try to live up to not only an unrealistic expectation from other people, but just any expectation. They don't walk in your shoes. They don't breathe the oxygen that you breathe. They don't pay your bills. They don't have the same relationships with certain people that you do. In the grand scheme of things, it does not matter what other people's expectation of you is, as long as you are living a healthy life and not harming yourself or anyone else. Anyone else's expectation of you is fucking worthless. Please remember that. Number two, what other people say and do. Again, we are living our lives. We are not living the lives of anybody else. So whatever other people are saying, what other people are doing, how they're acting, does not have a direct correlation on you unless you allow it to. It's very easy for us to get riled up and angry and upset and blow our lid because of the actions or the words of someone else. But again, we can't control that, but we can control our own impulses, our own reaction to these situations. So it's kind of like, why do we get so upset about this? Why do we, get so emotionally riled up and make our lives more stressful, give ourselves some more anxiety? Why would we do that to ourselves? It's counterproductive and it's unhealthy and it prevents us from progressing. So please keep that in mind. Don't worry about what anyone else is saying or doing. Just do you. Let's do number three here. Number three, Stop worrying about expecting perfection. If you are watching this right now, you are a human being. I'm a human being. All the people we interact with, although sometimes they don't act like human beings, they are. And perfection is not real. Nobody is perfect. Nobody will do something perfectly forever. Now, it's one thing to strive for perfection. That's okay, but you have to understand that you will fail, you will fall at some point. You cannot be perfect. No one that walks this earth is perfect. And if you're setting yourself up for that expectation, you are setting yourself up for failure. Don't do that to yourself. Don't set yourself up to beat yourself up later. Let's be realistic. Let's just do our very best and everything will be okay. Number 4. We're talking about things to stop worrying about right now. Getting it wrong. Stop worrying about getting it wrong because guess what? You will be wrong at some point in your life. Shit, you'll be wrong many times in your life, but that's part of life. That's part of the learning process. We've talked about on the Nothing to Prove podcast quite a few times about learning from our mistakes, learning from those, unfortunate circumstances, learning from those situations that are not ideal. And that's what we got to keep in mind here. We are going to fail. We are especially going to be wrong at times. And it's not the end of the world. It doesn't mean that we're a bad person or we're not good at whatever we're trying to do. We are normal. We are people. But it is up to us to look at those certain situations where we are wrong and try to find something that we can learn from it. Find something positive out of it and take it and apply it. Because every situation that we run into, whether it's good or bad, but we got to put the focus on the bad here because it's when things are going great and things go our way, that's, hey, that's an easy road to follow. But when the road gets rocky, when things don't go our way or we're in unfortunate circumstances, we're sad, depressed, angry, something shitty happens to us, we kind of throw caution to the wind and we stop realizing that we can actually learn something from those particular situations, but we have to be proactive about it. We have to be seeking out what it is. It's not going to be at the forefront. Those negative reactions, that feeling of being upset or angry, that's going to be at the forefront, and that's okay. That is human nature. But we got to fucking brake check ourselves. We got to check ourselves and say, all right, this is a shitty situation. I didn't want to be wrong, but I am. I didn't want to be sad, but I am. What can I learn from this? Or what positive thing can I take out of this? So down the line, down the road in my life, I make sure I don't do this again. Or I make sure I don't make this mistake again. Life is a lifelong learning process. Let's keep that in mind. Number 5, stop worrying about fitting in. You are an individual. You were born and brought into this world as someone that is unique. There is no one else like you out there. And that's what makes you so fucking awesome. We don't need clones. We don't need 5 of one certain person. Who gives a shit about 5 of one person? We give a shit about the uniqueness among all of us here. Don't worry about, wearing the right thing or hanging out with the right people. What you need to worry about is just fucking being happy. But most of all, being happy in your own skin. You have to start there. So throw out the window fitting in and fit in with yourself. Get comfortable in your own skin. Whatever you like to do, do that. Who gives a shit if anyone else doesn't like doing that? It doesn't matter. Again, their shit doesn't matter. It's all about you. It's all about making yourself the best possible you can be. And the first thing, and one of the most important things you can do, is not worrying about pleasing others, fitting in. Just be yourself, and you will be that much more happier. Number 6, stop worrying about being right. Again, these all kind of go hand in hand. But we're human beings, and we're gonna be wrong. And we're, most of the time, we're not gonna fucking be right. And that's okay. We are, I don't know how many times I have to say this, because I think a lot of us actually forget. We get held to some unrealistic standard that we just cannot live up to. Every day that you go through, more likely than not, you will run into a situation where you were wrong or you were not right. And that's all right. That's okay. But you got to get that, you got to find that thing to learn from. You got to find that little something that you can take out of that circumstance and make yourself a better you for the next go around. Lastly, number 7, the 7th thing to stop worrying about right now is life being out of control. Out of control in general or out of your control. It doesn't matter. Life goes on. Every single day, as long as we don't have some debilitating health issue or whatever it may be, we are fortunate enough to wake up and get another 24 fucking hours, another crack at this thing we call life. So if we have a bad fucking day and we fall on our face and it's a shitty fucking time, guess what? Go to sleep, wake up, battery is recharged, regroup up here and say, I get to start over. Yesterday was yesterday. That does not apply right now. I can start improving. I can start doing what I have to do right now as soon as my 2 feet hit the floor from my bed. And that's what we have to keep in mind. We get do-overs. We get do-overs every single day. People that don't make it to that next day, they don't get a do-over. And that's why I hope you guys are out there and doing it, what it is that you love, spreading love, spreading, showing gratitude, understanding how fortunate you are. And especially if you're listening to this right now and you're in good health and you have the ability to go outside and do pretty much whatever you want. If you have a job, if you have a roof over your head, you have clothes on your back, you got food in the fridge, those little simple things that we take for granted every single day make us that much more fortunate. We should think about how fortunate that actually makes us. So don't hesitate to be thankful for what you have, express that gratitude. But also, sometimes life's gonna be fucked up. We're gonna have a bad fucking day. And that is part of life, and that is okay. Life is not it's not within your control. But you know what is within your control? Your actions and your reactions. You have complete control over that. For example, you have a fucked up day or a fucked up afternoon. It's up to you. Do you want to dwell on that? Do you want to let that ride out for the remainder of the day and just not let it go or not try to move on and continue to be in a shitty fucking mood for the rest of your day where you're feeling like a piece of shit? No. Why would you? That makes no sense. You have the control. Register what happens. It's okay to do that. Recognize that shitty situation that's happening, but focus on, like we always say, I no longer have bad days. I just have bad minutes. And that's easier said than done. And it takes practice. It takes repetition until it becomes routine, until it becomes second nature. And then that is your default. You don't let things linger throughout the day or throughout the week or the month that continue to drag your quality of life down. When we can register and understand and come to realize, what do I need to do? What do I need to do to get past this hurdle? What do I got to do to stop feeling this way that I'm feeling because I don't fucking like it? You got to slow the mind down and you have to think of these little processes that will help you have a better quality of life in the long run. And as soon as later on that day, don't let the negativity, don't let the ill feelings, don't let the bad situations linger with you. The longer you let them linger, the harder it is to recover, the shittier of a day you're going to have, the shittier week, month, year, and so on and so forth. And like we always say too, whatever you put out is what you get back. So if you're putting out that negative energy, if you're putting out that chronic complaining, if you're putting out that whining, that woe is me attitude, you will get nothing of quality in return. But if you're putting out positivity, if you're keeping an open mind and looking at that glass half full and trying to find the bright side of things or trying to find something from a situation that you can learn from, or just expressing how thankful you are in the smallest of ways, those little things, when you put them out there, they come back to you. You can say that's bullshit. You can say that's not true. That's fucking crazy talk, whatever you want. But I'll tell you right now, That's how I live my life. That's how a lot of the listeners of the Nothing to Prove podcast live their life every single day. And the proof is in the fucking pudding, because we know it, because we live it. And that's the big difference. Don't just talk the talk, walk the walk. And that's what we do here at the Nothing to Prove podcast. So that's your words of wisdom for this week, you guys. For those of you that are just finding out about the show or just checking us out here randomly, don't forget to check out the Nothing to Prove podcast each and every single Monday with a brand new episode. We're available on iTunes, Stitcher, and nothingtoprovepodcast.com. I am sure you will enjoy the show. Everyone that's a part of this Nothing to Prove podcast family is learning things every single week. We're applying things every single week, and we're rocking the fucking house, and we're loving life, and that's not a bad thing. That's something to be very, very proud of. So catch me Monday for a brand new episode of the Nothing to Improve podcast. But until then, as always, be good to yourselves and do good for each other. This is Dom Vitalli saying, we'll see you soon.